So hello, my name is James Cluzy, and my project intersects the relationship between preserving the past while designing the future. So American cities are increasingly losing accessible, non-commercial civic spaces due to economic shifts and a steady decline of retail, leading to greater social isolation and weakened civic engagement. As communities look to restore shared environments, historic buildings present a strong opportunity for adaptive reuse. However, these efforts must carefully align new programs with existing structures while prioritizing inclusive and sustainable design to ensure long-term community value. Across the United States, rising retail vacancy rates have removed many informal gathering spaces, limiting opportunities for everyday social interaction and weakening community connection. In response, this project uses adaptive reuse as a primary strategy. Rather than demolishing and rebuilding, the existing structure is repurposed, reducing construction waste, preserving historic character, and retaining embodied energy. Finally, the project is guided by inclusive design, aiming to create a space that is accessible and usable for all individuals, including those with disabilities, aging populations, and people with temporary limitations. As precedent studies, I examined the Tate Modern in London and then Edward Roberts campus in Berkeley. The Tate Modern transformed the former Bankside Power Station to a major public museum while preserving its industrial character and supporting large-scale urban regeneration. Similarly, the Edward Roberts campus demonstrates inclusive design features such as a continuous ramp, intuitive wayfinding, and flexible program spaces that accommodate users of all abilities. Together, these projects highlight how thoughtful design can create meaningful, accessible, socially impactful public environments. After researching these issues, I selected my site, Formal Administration Building for the Metropolitan State Hospital in Waltham, Massachusetts. The proposal reimagines the building as a community center designed for all disability types, creating an environment where individuals from all backgrounds can feel welcomed and included. The scope of the project includes both the full interior and exterior of the building, allowing for comprehensive transformation. The Metropolitan State Hospital was founded in 1900, establishing state responsibility for the care of the mentally ill, which had previously been handled at the local level. The Colonial Revival Administration Building, designed by Gordon C. Robb, was completed in 1928, and at its peak in the 1950s, the hospital functions as a large, self-contained psychiatric institution housing thousands of patients. The Community Mental Health Act later shifted care towards local centers, accelerating the decline of institutional facilities. The hospital ultimately closed as part of a broader deinstitutionalization effort, leaving the building abandoned and a state of disrepair. The surrounding community is primarily composed of Asian and white residents, an average household income of approximately $75,000. The site is accessible through two bus routes, including the Waltham Shuttle A, which connects to the city's town hall, and the Avalon Lexington route, which provides service from Boston. The nearest community center is the YMCA, located about 11-minute drive away, highlighting a gap in accessible nearby civic space. There are two primary adjacent sites to the administration building, including the Avalon at Lexington Hills apartment complex, which formerly served as dormitories for the hospital, and the Beaverbrook Pond, which are both within a 3 to 5 minute walking radius, positioning the proposed community center as a highly accessible and integrated daily resource for nearby residents. The building is accessed through an adjacent parking lot, which provides a clear and relative flat route from the entrance. The main entrance is located at the front of the building, while two secondary exits are positioned at the rear. Users who rely on wheelchairs are able to independently access the building, the exterior ramp, supporting inclusive entry conditions. This view highlights the preserved exterior elements of the building, including the original windows, the Massachusetts coat of arms, central spire, the pediment window, and the existing brickwork. These features maintain the historic identity of the structure while reinforcing its architectural character within the surrounding context. In section view, interior elements are preserved, including the original wood shelving, Doric columns, and exposed interior brickwork. Retaining these features allows the design to maintain the integrity and authenticity of the original structure while integrating new programmatic issues. Zoning within the building was carefully organized to balance preservation and necessary intervention. Certain areas retained a majority of their historical features, while others undergo a more significant redesign to accommodate accessibility requirements and support community engagement through inclusive spatial planning. In addition to preserve elements, new materials are introduced to better support users with physical impairments. Wood flooring allows for smoother movement. Carpet provides comfort and reduces impact. Vulcanized rubber flooring improves slip resistance and shock absorption, enhancing overall safety usability. Users arrive at the site by either walking, biking, or driving along Trapello Road, which leads directly to the adjacent parking lot next to the building. This establishes a clear and accessible point entry for all visitors. In this parking lot, we are introduced to John and Bertha, a husband and wife who live nearby in the Avalon at Lexington Police Department. John uses a wheelchair while Bertha assists him. Follow along as we move through the space from Bertha's point of view. As we approach the front of the building, we see both the original grand staircase and the ADA accessible ramp. John is able to independently use the ramp with the support of handrails, demonstrating how accessibility is integrated alongside historic features. As Bertha moves up the grand staircase, we observe preserved architectural elements, such as the portico, Doric columns, Palladian window, pilasters, and the Massachusetts coat of arms. These details reinforce the building's historical significance and visual identity. Entering the vestibule, we see a platform elevator that provides accessible vertical movement for John, alongside the existing staircase. A bulletin board is also introduced, allowing users to share flyers, workshops, lectures, and local events, encouraging community interaction and engagement. The reception area serves as a clear point of arrival and orientation within the building. It includes a waiting space where users can pause, check in with staff, prepare for meetings, reinforcing a welcoming and organized entry experience. Down the hallway to the right, an elevator provides an accessible vertical circulation to the second floor. This ensures that all users can move between levels with ease, supporting independence and clear navigation throughout the building. The second floor includes a community lecture room designed to accommodate all age groups. This flexible space can host lectures, workshops, small events, community gatherings, and supporting a wide range of activities and user needs. The experience concludes in the library, where John selects a new book, appreciating the original bookshelves preserved from the administration building. Nearby, children play in the kids' corner while he reads beside the existing Palladian window, creating a calm and inclusive environment that brings the day to a peaceful. In conclusion, the Metropolitan Study explores the intersection between preserving historical identity and creating new inclusive opportunities for contemporary use. It examines how existing architectural elements and cultural narratives can be retained and respected, while simultaneously introducing new programs that respond to present-day community needs. Thank you. Questions?
That elevator in the structure already, or did you add that?
No, that was added. So two staircases.
Okay, there's nothing,
There's no original ADA accessible anything. 1928, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rose is about to say something.
Hi. I don't have any questions. I thought that was very well presented. I thought you spoke very well. I think one of the things that stood out to me the most is that you paid attention a lot to the historically significant features of this building. Specifically, I think you did a really good job of preserving the integrity of the building. So I've done some historic renovations in my career now, and I think this would be a very successful project because you paid attention to a lot of the things that you'd have to go to the historic boards for. So great job overall.
I would add, historically significant, but also how is it significant for the town of Waltham itself? Like, I would think that most times people age in place, so they age in the town that they grew up in. So they want to have that reference to the town's history in these buildings to, you know, make them feel more at ease in these spaces.
Right.
So I would say, you know, adding more of that reference to the inside of the building would be really beneficial. But overall, I think it's, you know, I love the idea of the adaptive reuse for these buildings because we see far too many of them just sitting there and sort of slowly dying, slow death. It's awful.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Oh, hi. Uh, it's a pretty cool project. I really enjoyed the use of Axon and isometric view for you to explain all the programming and site context as well at the same time. That was very successful. And Sync is done very classy in terms of an adaptive review situation to make sure the building is highly accessible for its new kind of users and existing users. So yeah, good job.
Thank you.
Hi, very good job with your topic, and I really like how you um, combined the idea of reuse with of contemporary reuse as well as accessibility. And I appreciate the in the beginning how you looked at the site from like as the site research and how your presentation really shows the user journey from the exterior to the interior. And as mentioned before, I really appreciate how you preserved the historical elements of the building. And very good job.
Thank you.
Apart from maintaining some of the historical parts of the building for the sake of like the integrity of the structure, were there any parts of the building where you thought you wanted to maintain or keep because it had some sort of cool work to it, or there's just something special about it that you wanted to maintain?
Yeah, well, I feel like that's primarily what the historical preservation like movement was for. Like there was a lot of things that when I visited the site, I saw like these existing bookshelves that were just like so ornate, so beautiful, and things that I don't see nowadays. As well as, I mean, on the envelope of the building, there were just like so many beautiful characteristics, like the Massachusetts coat of arms and like the pediment and the columns. These were just like they didn't have that many structural foundations or abilities within them, but themselves are just like beautiful to me in the first place, and that's why I decided to preserve the whole building. It's a beautiful building. Or
Going off of that, I'm kind of curious to see or hear if there was any like specific elements or things that you wanted to kind of. I think there's two parts of your presentation. One is like the adaptive reuse and kind of like the idea of preservation, because you love the bookshelf that's very ornate, which I'm guessing that you wanted to include in the project. And when it comes to adaptive reuse buildings, there's like a lot of deterioration sometimes, and maybe I don't know how old these materials are. You mentioned the date. I'm forgetting the date though, and I'm wondering if there was anything specific that you wanted to like keep, but that the material was really hard to like kind of find, or was kind of a little outdated, or that you had to upgrade but didn't necessarily want to, or it was a good upgrade. I'm kind of wondering about like the relationship to materials because of their age and preserving them.
yeah, a lot of these things, like their original shape and form, which definitely very are definitely beautiful and are present, but exactly what you're talking about, like the materials were so deteriorated. For example, the columns on the outside, they were painted white, and there's just so much chipping, so much dirt. Um, but what's important is the existing form, the existing structure is still there. So ideally, it would just be like a repaint or something. And same goes with the bookshelves on the inside. There's also original wainscoting that was on the interior. These materials, all of them essentially, because it's been abandoned for a while now, all of them essentially have been deteriorating material wise. So ideally, it would be either painting or adding some new structural elements or doing something where form is still present, but the material is that uh, it- Hey, you saw it. I